It's open source, it's free.
And it's like, whoa.
And this is only the content part.
We didn't enter panic zone, I don't think so. Maybe there were little moments of a panic. Maybe.
We had the opportunity and the privilege, I think, to innovate.
This is the success really.
Let's eat some cake. Welcome everyone. Welcome to the official launch of the Trainers Library. My name is Andre Figueiredo Garcia. I'm an educator, I'm a trainer, self-employed, and I've been working in this field for quite a while. While I was doing this, I attended this training course in Germany led by Naturkultur, trained the trainers, it's up to me 5. And this was the first time when I heard the Trainers Library. Since then I'm wondering, what is it? And this is exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to find out what the Trainers Library is, how it came to be, and how the future of it looks like. For that, I am very happy to welcome 2 experts. The one, Darko, who is the project manager, project leader of the Trainers Library, and one of the experts, Dagna, who is a lifelong learning competence expert. Darko Mitewski has been a successful consultant in the corporate world until he turned to the NGO world. Since 2012, he is the president of Naturkultur, an NGO in Bremen, Germany. In 2017, he founded Kulturhaus, which is a venue for NGOs, schools, but also families to host different kind of events. And since then, he has been a trainer for 18 years, giving various opportunities through Naturkultur to youngsters and professionals to help them to develop themselves. Darko, can you tell me why you turned your back to the corporate world as a consultant and started to work in the NGO field?
It's a good question. It sounds very good when you say it like this. I kind of got reminded of those times. Well, I started actually in the NGO sector as a youngster, 17, 18 years old in high school, and then starting with different kind of projects and activities. And being in university for nearly 5 years, I was working for an NGO called ISEC, where I got the basis about what youth work, NGO work means. But then I was very broke as a student, you don't earn a lot of money in the NGO sector. So I had to transition in the corporate world, which I think I learned quite a lot. They're working with companies, working on very complex projects with big budgets and serious initiatives. But to find out after 5 or 6 years, to find out that it's kind of like a value-less world. And this is something that I didn't like. We're focusing on creating strategies, creating learning materials, education in companies, in the whole corporate world. But a lot of it was driven by only profit and nothing else. And then I just couldn't do that anymore. So it's naturally, I had to kind of transition and to go back to my roots, which is an NGO. It was a good opportunity with Naturkultur to join the team that was just starting then. And I was like, yeah, why not? I go back and I see what happens. So start over. So.
Understand. I think a lot of people feel like that when it comes to the corporate world. And not a lot of people have the opportunity to change the NGO world, so I'm happy to hear that. The other expert that we have is Dagna Gimitrovic, and she is a senior trainer in the field of non-formal education for almost 20 years, offering trainings, conferences, and for different kind of themes, topics, and a graduate in fine arts, which is quite impressive. And you've been an author, publisher of different resources, methods, tools in the field of education, but also art, I assume. And you are quite known in the cultural scene as an artist, performer in Germany and Poland, am I right?
I am present there.
Good. I've heard that you are an art therapist or visual therapist, art therapist. Can you tell me more about that?
Art therapists believe that through art we can grow and heal each another. And I use the medium as art to empower people to discover different elements of themselves on this learning journey in life. You know? So also, I mean, therapy is a very serious topic. There are therapy as such, and there are very different schools of it. And me, basically, I'm not anymore working in the therapy field because with the experience of many years, coping with very different problems of people was too heavy for me, maybe, and also very powerful. But at the same time, I saw that the prevention is very important and empowerment of people before they entered the black hole of sadness or life challenges different. That's why I've developed also kind of method, like a visual dialogue, when we talk, not talking and describing images, but we talk through images together, painting. And that was also kind of inspiration to write several articles for this library, because I deeply believe that not only words inspire us, but also what we hear, what we feel, what we see, and also what we create can mirror us. You know?
As you might know, I have a business background, so some of us love pitches. It's like as short, as precise, efficient as possible. Can I ask you to describe the Trainer's Library in just one sentence? Let's jump right in.
So I would name it as a one-stop shop for trainers and youth workers who want to develop their competences so they can do their work better.
To me, Trainer's Library would be the basket of different fruits, like apples, pears, but are like vegetables, maybe somewhere there. So you can make out of this a salad of, or the great meal to nurturing your own kind of growth as a trainer. So it means what I would underline is a collection of very diverse tools that can inspire very different learners. No?
Oh, it's interesting. Yeah. I would add on top of it, it's kind of like a buffet table. You know, like so different kind of foods, different kind of fruits, different kind of veggies, like different kind of culturally diversity, and then everyone can kind of go and pick whatever they need. Our needs as learners are all different, and then in this way, my needs are not the same as your needs or as Andre's needs. So like everyone can pick whatever they want, and then they can kind of just take that part. But it's a very good overview of what is on the table. So it's,
There's one element important, that they need to approach the table and pick the fruit. Just the learner really need to have own curiosity to approach it and give it time and digest what is there because of its diversity. No?
So we're talking about fruits, vegetables, and tools.
Yes.
we open a restaurant. No.
It's a Trainer's Library restaurant.
A library with a buffet. Well, what does it mean, tools? I mean, what exactly are we talking about?
So to me, the tool is a kind of instrument that allows you to open different doors. And those tools are the articles. With those articles, you open doors to different competences. And so I guess that's how I define the tools.
So imagine that you will have to learn conflict management competences. Yeah? So like there are very many conflict situations that we're encountering every day in work, like with our colleagues, with the participants, with the donors, with different kind of things. And you need to know how to react in this kind of situation, how to understand the conflict, how to recognize it, what's happening, and this kind of thing. So instead of saying there are 5 books or 10 books that are out there that you need to devote yourself, and having in mind that this, for being a trainer, you would need like maybe 50 or 100 books to read and to know them very well. Like we simplified. So kind of like the basic principles of conflict resolution are written within like 5 to 8 articles that are throwing light on different kind of things, and then depending on what's your interest, to explore more and to learn more, to master your skills more, like you proceed in that kind of direction. So we leave clues where you can kind of find more information and how you can continue, because like it's not just reading equals knowing, but it takes time to develop this kind of thing. So the article is a simplified way of how you can learn a competence.
So the tools are articles. So what I find in the Trainers Library are articles on how to develop different competences.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But is it like a summary of books, or do I also find certain specific activities to solve or to achieve certain objectives?
What I would like to underline that those articles are created by very different experts. It's not only me and Darko, but around this table should sit other people also, right? And they are with us now, supporting this process. So just because it was written by very different experts, they are very different learners, and they are coming from very different backgrounds. It's very clear that the articles are written in a very different way. So the diversity is not only because of a different learning style, so we have movies and we have like kind of introduction to the books, as you were saying, no? But also the way how we share the knowledge, the way what we have discovered is totally different. And it's also, sometimes you may see the articles like for 5, 6 pages, very long and beautiful, and that's your journey. And sometimes the article is several sentences and one image. And it's like, whoa, so maybe it's a good, maybe it's wrong. In this library, nothing is good and wrong. In this library is diversity, so everyone picks something. So I think how it...
Yeah, and then each article has a kind of like the same structure but different content. So, for example, on the end of each article, there are reflection questions, which should trigger critical reflection, because like it's very important to dig deeper inside the content, not just to like this superficial knowing, but where you need to think about it. Like, and then there are reflections with individual, where I do it by myself, but there are reflections that we do as team, because like it plays in different contexts. And then there are exercises, like so basically repetitive activities that will become part of the personality, like so. For example, to take the same competence or conflict management is like how to recognize between position and a goal of a person. So once you learn how to interpret this when there is a disagreement between a group or several people or something like this, then the exercises help you to put it within your kind of like knowledge base. So imagine kind of like put it on autopilot mode. So it's like you don't pay like so much attention, but it kind of like it's within your skills. And then the articles are driving in this kind of direction. We put it into context of trainers, of youth work, which is really important because these are universal skills. Conflict management is in all professions, but like we put it in our case in terms of like working with young people or doing social work or doing youth work. And then it makes a difference for the learner, and it's much easier to understand the material in this kind of like simplified, very applicable way.
This is directly connecting with the next question, which is, you said it's called Trainers Library. It's a library for trainers. You said youth workers. Now, who are you inviting to join? For whom is this library?
So, to me, the library is a tool of change and development of a society. And then we have a very specific group of people that they decided to work to support the development and growth of a society. And those people are the trainers in non-formal education field, like a bunch of very different professionals, and lots of youth workers that they also facilitate the process with a group of youngsters all over the planet. So those are those people, individuals, that they decided in their life, okay, I want to do something, what matters. I want to support the others, I want to take a group, inspire them, and make them leaders. So I think this library, in fact, is for those leaders. It's a trainer's library, which is basically on a competence model, which is adapted for this profession to be a trainer in a non-formal education field. But in fact, it's a kind of a collection of different tools to inspire all different youth workers and leaders that are somewhere there. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I would just add that, like it's a relatively new profession. Like youth work as a term, like it's not very old. And then many of the people who are doing youth work are self-learners, so attending different kind of conferences, attending different kind of events, gathering materials from here and there, and then my learning, my development was extremely hard. And then when we discovered that we need to pass on this knowledge that we have gathered in the past years, it was very difficult. Because like we're creating Google Drives where we're putting different kind of videos and throwing different kind of books. So it's so difficult to kind of like navigate through this knowledge because it's everywhere. It's not organized, it's not labeled well, it's just like very chaotic. And with this library we kind of like put a framework based on the European trainers competence model. Or European training strategy competence model for trainers, to be kind of like correct with the names.
What I would add is also based on the outcomes that have been already developed. So, because it's not only us experts creating Act, but we asked and approached other professionals in this field. So in fact, different people can see, oh, they quoted me, wow, they used this article, because this was also probably not only us sharing our expertise, but also we did a research, or mainly we did a research to look what's existing in the field. And we've been asking, could you send me some material so I can share with people in this trainer's library, in the community? And also because this field, what you were saying, is not recognized yet so much, but will become and will be recognized because it's needed, it's growing. So we put the frame, which is flexible and open. So it's like maybe we put the ground or the structure really, that basis, that now we start to grow and feed. It's just, how many we have articles? It's like 350? 100. 350. So we have just 350, 100 articles. And we can have, 3,000 articles. Because we have such a beautiful people in this work working. And this is the place where they can contribute their knowledge and wisdom and share with the others. Because also it's free source. So it's like, because we believe in it. I mean, I at least believe. Do you believe in it? That's it.
Thank you for sharing your passion. I can feel it, and I'm happy to hear that. I had the same experience about what you've just mentioned, that a lot of trainers, youth workers tend to do their own research and check online on different kind of methods and tools. But my personal experience was that there are so many methods and tools that don't have a proper source. So I have no idea who wrote this. Is it effective? Is an expert behind that? You said that you are referring to the people who write it. Is there also like a profile or something online that I can check so that I can see what is the background of the person who wrote this article?
So I can speak about my articles. I think it's a bit different. So I'm leading the competence cooperating successfully in teams, and then conflict management, being challenged, putting different kind of teams together, different kind of personalities. So nearly everything is quoted. So for example, for the conflict resolution, like I'm choosing something that I use for many years in my work, and it's the conflict management structure from the Harvard Law School, from the negotiation project. There is a book called Getting to Yes by William Murray, and then I'm using the framework of the book and then I'm putting it into context. But also I use a variety of books. So, for example, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, or Resonant Leadership by Boyatzis. I'm using different kind of personalities models like the Belbin theory or the 16 personalities theory or the Myers-Briggs MBTI model, so different kind of models, and then we're putting them into the context of being a trainer. And then like any learner like will go and discover this and see if they like it or don't like it, and then kind of like continue down. And then hopefully the library will have a lot more models like this in terms of conflict management, so everyone can pick the salad that they like, using the metaphor from Dagmar. And then for all of the competences, it's kind of similar. So
yes, I mean, definitely. I mean, for that reason, I went to this global conference of self-directed learning. I went to this conference there to Florida to meet the people that they have created and supported self-directed learning. And talking to Lucy Guglielmino was amazing. And she did a recommendation, please write and share my readiness scale, how to measure self-directed learning as such. And then talking to Laura Whistler, she was the author of creating the new model, which was never published in Europe, Entangled Learning, for example. And then she supported the Trainers Library. And then she was saying, I feel so much privileged and honored that I can contribute. And then I asked my trainers, because I was also trained as a trainer, so like Peter Hoffman, Kosterman, and all of those people, and I asked, hey, could you share with me your outcomes and highlights? Yes, please, this is this and that. So you can also find their kind of contributions, thank you, Derko, their contributions in those articles. So basically me as a Dagna, is there maybe just several drawings, a bit of reflection, visual dialogue. Most of the articles is based on the books and people and experts, which I quote, describe as critical questions. Yes?
When we were doing this research, or at least I ran into parts where there is nothing out there. So probably there is, but I couldn't access it. And then I emailed like different kind of people. I went through different kind of experiences, reflection, because like some articles I was writing for a year to be sincere, it took me a lot of time. And then I came out, for example, in which way do people react to challenges? So when you get challenged, how do you react? Because this is one of the competences. And then I was looking at different kind of models, I was looking at different kind of authors, but I couldn't find how do people react. And then I said, okay, then I'll write something of my own, something that I experience. And then I sit down together with my team. And then like we're discussing about it. How do you react when you're challenged? Like you have rejection, you have denial, you have avoiding, you have procrastinating, you have like silent rejection, you have silent compliance and all. And then we start like creating our own framework. So in the times where we couldn't find like concrete reference, then we're sharing our experience. Because it's still important based on our experiences, the learners to get a peek there and then to form their own opinion, because we're not telling the ultimate truth, but we're talking about our experiences and how we got there. So, and then hopefully this will be kind of like something that the learners will use, and then they will continue to build on top of this.
I would say something that is a trigger. It's a trigger to own development. It's a trigger to find out my own opinion about this thing. That's a trigger to define myself in this context. And I think that listening to us, listening to you, to our conversation, would be great if the person there would say, no, I disagree. Oh, he didn't mention that. Why? How come?
Why are they using this model?
No, it's nothing, or it's a lot. It's really all of those emotions are important. Whenever the Trainers Library will make you whenever Trainers Library will make you angry or happy or curious, all those things are super cool, because that would mean that something is moving there. And then maybe then will inspire you to make a step and go the direction you want and to share with the others your highlights and outcomes, right? Right.
Totally good.
You're on the same page. I like to hear that. It's the second time that I've heard competence model. You said your competence model. Am I missing something? What competence models are you referring to?
It's a general interest in the competence and such. No? So because the competence, what is the competence? It would be nice to grab our learning. So, okay, I can sing, I can dance, no? But in terms of this trainer stuff, how can we describe what we need to know? And then come as like a help, the competence as such. So the competence like a description of some skills, attitudes, and the knowledge, well packed, and then this kind of descriptions, kind of criteria leading you through the profession, right? So it's like a compass, may guide you here or there. So with these skills, knowledge, and attitudes, if I have some of them, not all of them, don't be superhero, I mean, all of them would be boring, just some of them, then if I pick this and this and I become good with it, that would mean I can really support the growth of the other people in the non-formal education field. I would define like that.
Several years ago, Salto Youth has created this framework, competence model for trainers based on the European training strategy. So basically those are the skills, attitudes, behaviors that we need in order to do our job good, like which are very practical skills. So managing groups, like managing groups of learners, how to build group dynamics, how to be considerate about the different backgrounds, the different identities that the learners come inside of the group, or how to avoid conflicts, or how to use different methods for learning, or how to communicate with them in a very compassionate or empathic way, or how to educate, how to do youth work, social work. So basically, this is the framework that we use it as a skeleton, and then we put resources on different areas. So all of the indicators in this competence model are covered. Like we have at least one article written for each of the indicators, and we're expecting more, because like we only had space for one model, for one book, in order to have like a very simplified, easy to use material. But imagine there are 5 books on the conflict resolution topic, different kind of approaches, like from emotional intelligence standpoint. Like so, and all of these things will hopefully be added to the library in the years to come.
That sounds like a lot of work.
That's
that we seem to need. Dark, you said you spent almost 1 year on this article on conflict management, and you said that you have 351 articles. I guess it wasn't just you working on them, right? I mean, how many people are involved? How many authors do you have that are writing for the Trainers Library? And beyond that, people who support you?
There are 7 editors, kind of like expert trainers. They're expert on different areas. For example, Dagna is from Learning to Learn. I'm from the cooperation in teams, with extensive background and experience. But also we're trying to do balance in terms of gender, in terms of geographical region, because you get exposed to different kind of knowledge if you come. So for example, we wanted to involve like also from people who are using different kind of education, who had different kind of formal education, because like this gives them access to different tools that, for example, I never heard of, and then this gives added values. So these people are Donatas Petkauskas from Lithuania, Jim Kleber, he's American but working in Germany as well very often. Leilani Van Rinen, she's kind of like mixed background, a bit Dutch, a bit Brazilian, global citizen, I would say. Like she doesn't have like one permanent place of residence in the last like 5 years or something. We have Federica De Micheli from Italy, and then we have Antonio Jovanovski, so from North Macedonia. So, and then they're all different kind of experts. So Antonio is, for example, he's leading an NGO that is doing green transformation in his country, or in his field of work, with a lot of advocacy, with a lot of legislation suggestions, with a lot of influence over politicians, but he's working with the young people. You know, he has like a youth organization, and then he's on daily basis working with them. So all of this civic engagement, how to discover values, like how to direct the energy that the young people have into something constructive in our societies. He has like a lot to say on this topic, and then he was researching a lot and talking with a lot of people, going to different kind of conferences. Or we have Federica, which is on designing educational programs competence, where like she's going into how do we develop educational programs. Federica has been working for a variety of NGOs. She was working as a facilitator and trainer for different kind of national agencies, and she was working for Salto, Euromed, different kind of pools of trainers. So she has extensive knowledge in this, and then she's deciding what and how. And then there are people who are supporting us as well, kind of researchers, who send us different kind of books, or who co-write, or they independently write some of the articles. And this is the whole beauty of it, the whole diversity, the difference in approaches that enriches the whole library. And this is only the content part. We have to mention all of the other parts, which is the creation of social media content, which is very important in order to have reach, especially in these Corona times. Like we're planning like a big party to have, and then to celebrate and to promote the Trans Library, but unfortunately we have to distance.
Fortunately, I mean, we are.
Or fortunately,
we are.
yes. Yeah. And then the team of social media is in content creation. It's quite big. So we have Andre, who is doing the videos and the video content. We're producing podcast materials, audio podcast as well. So Alexander is developing that part, or Nico is working on social media, and we're having 35 sneak previews of the Trans Library going on, where kind of like we promoted the library in all of these different countries in order to have the reach much more for the learners to know that it's out there, and then maybe some of them will find it useful, and then hopefully we'll use it in the future. So it's a big team, like I think like more than maybe 70 people or something. Contributing a little bit, yeah, so small parts, like bigger, small.
Dagna said that there's, or emphasizing that there's a huge advantage of cherishing diversity also in your articles and your work, but everyone who has worked with international intercultural teams knows that there are also some challenges. Are there some that you've encountered with such an international team spread all over the place?
To me, you know, I'm a naturally born learner on challenges. So to me, every challenge I perceive as an opportunity. So to me, it's like a question. This question would say, it's really, which one was really a challenge? I mean, if there would be no challenges, there would be no growth. So I guess to me, it was the moment to come to mutual understanding, describing the criteria for the articles, because we are coming from such a different environments that you've been underlying. So to have this agreement, that was a challenge, because in that moment we had to step back, to leave behind our egos, and to really see what matters and what could we contribute to this to library as such, so can be as good as possible. And this communication took time, because the communication is not only in terms of our expertise, but we are all humans, and we are sure that we know the best, but we don't. And this is, to be aware of it, that, maybe my idea and my understanding was not the best one, maybe the other, and all together we can come up with some solution. That needs a time. And for that we need to practice the muscles of cooperation, understanding, empathy. And then, of course, the distant work, to me, that was a challenge. Because, it's easy to sit in one room, then to go to several other libraries in the same time in town, and then to come back. No? But no, we're not only not in the same town, we are not in the same country. And our times are different. I mean, how come can we meet in such a strategically challenging project? So to me that was a challenge, and then there's a moment when you feel a team and feeling of belonging, and then there's a moment when you are lonely, and then talking, Darko, where are you? Darko, Dagna, where are you? I'm not answering for a week. It's like me somewhere I'm driving, but that's the beauty of this project, but also to me that's a challenge of this project, and. Yes.
But that's the magic of this project as well. I saw a video yesterday from Giselle, a TED talk. She was talking about magic and how magic drives people. Like this project, I would say, like we had like a quite good idea of what do we want to have on the end, but we didn't know how to get there. And then I have a feeling like a lot of things were done upside down, like we don't really know what we are doing, and then you come to a situation where you say, okay, so we need to proofread 1,500 pages. Well, like we didn't think about this before, so how do we do it? Because otherwise the quality of the material is not going to be the same. We don't plan budget, we don't plan time, we didn't plan experts, so how do you manage? Or Dagna was talking about working virtually and things like this, and she mentioned that we're all from different professions and we have different organizations. This is not our main job, it's our side job, but everyone has families, everyone has friends, everyone has things going on, so I kind of like to balance all of this. It was a learning experience. I think that what I value the most is that I think all of us grew quite a lot as experts in the area, so I can confidently say, or I'm able to see the growth that Dagna had in these 3 years of all of the resources, all of the understanding. We had hours of critical discussion, we do trainings together, so we kind of complement each other, and this is the thing that is driving, this is the magic that is driving the project. And only with kind of this end in mind of needing the community, needing this kind of resource, that it's not perfect. It has flaws, it has a lot of flaws, but it's a solid base for the community to use, and then for what can be done with it in the future. So I don't see it as an end of the project, I'm actually seeing it as the beginning of a journey, something that we start today.
So you've mentioned magic, but also challenges. Usually when people encounter challenges, they rather stop and kind of freeze. How was it with you guys? What motivated you to continue going through all these challenges and launch Trainers Library?
And thank you for this question, because this question is kind of question for the learner, because we learn when we are challenged, when we are not in a comfort zone. And definitely, I don't know if you agree with me, Darko, but this project pushed us out of the comfort zone. We didn't enter panic zone, I don't think so. Maybe there were little moments of a panic, maybe. But definitely we were in this sphere like struggling a little bit. And for that, I think what helped us, it was like from my perspective, a very clear vision, and the purpose, it's really needed, so let's do that. And another then here I have to say to you, Darko, that the power of a resonant leader who is open and hosting the diversity, and doesn't matter the time, what matters, it's people, and the idea of a project, and trust and a faith in that. And I think you, Darko, represented it totally, you and your organization and your team. And then I think this is the success really. Because if not the source of the organization and not the power and the light, which was from the source coming up, that could go very different ways. But this commitment, the trust, and saying, Dagna, I trust, we'll manage, don't worry. It's hard, but we'll go over it. And still keep going. Even, I guess, was hard also for you, no, sometimes. But, I mean, I've never heard you doubting in the purpose of this, what we do. And that gave a lot of kind of energy. You know? So I think in that surrounding, challenge is more welcome. I mean, we were open to be challenged and to fail. And I think that made this library a bit better.
I was doubting all the time. It's just that I have like super, or like some of the best experts on the topics. And then every time that I was doubting my skills or my contribution or my resonance of the whole thing, I know that Dagna is here, or I know that Antonia is here. So if I mess up, there are people who will kind of like, and then this is the strength, like this is the balancing out. Like this is why I love like this diversity of the team, and then how we were balancing out of each other. Like, so someone gets missing in action for like a while, but then like this person comes back and then another one is there. So it's kind of like interrelated, kind of like, and then kind of like a lost leverage on each other. So it's good.
It sounds like you grew quite together. You said 7 experts. This is why challenges, this is why the magic through diversity. From what you've mentioned, there were different kind of names that you've mentioned, 7 experts. How can I imagine if 7 of you sit virtually or not virtually on one table? Like, what is going on? How can I imagine that?
First, that would be a question, who are you? I mean, whom you became recently, and what is alive in you in that sense. And then we started to discuss on the different purposes, I mean, ideas in a task. It was so beautiful to sit next to those people. Like some people like dreaming about a political scene, another person dreaming about how to support professional trainers during the tool fair, another one, and like inspiring each other, like Federica, hey, you should go to this conference on self-directed learning. Yeah. Oh, really? And I went there just because of her. So we've been growing all together.
But also on you know, like the different personalities, the different energies that everyone brings to the table. So, for example, Jim is an emotional coach. He has emotional self-defense as a tool, or iFilio as a journaling self-reflection tool that he has created. So he was always like kind of, let's hear each other out, like let's kind of like be this proactive thing, while on the other side, like me and Donatas, like coming from the business background, and kind of like we want organization, we want like to move the things on the next step. And then you have Leilani, who is like also emotional coach. She has the Emotional Fitness Academy, and she's running a lot of workshops with different groups and things like this. She added her unique approach, and then it was fairly difficult to kind of like bring the bunch of the group together, but then we kind of trusted that we're all there for the same reason, that time pressure especially will kind of like bring us closer together, that we will hear each other out, and then we'll kind of like leave whatever we have as contribution on the table, and then this is how we move forward. Yeah, so it's okay. So we dealt with one, so we go on the next challenge, and then it's completely new day. So, and we start from the.
I still remember the moment at the early beginning when we were just sitting and discussing, like in the nature. Do you remember that? The house in the nature, sitting and discussing. This is the person, I've not seen him for such a long time. Then my talks with Donatas about the personal growth and which strategies. Do you have a supervisor? Shall we have a supervisor? So all these different, elements, and then the people coming and going, because behind those people, there are other people. With me, there are working beautiful people, which I'm so grateful I could work with them. Yeah. And I want to grow together. So I think the list of thank you after this film,
And
I think would be very long.
It's very important to recognize them, and I'll take this opportunity to recognize the work of Salto Youth, because like they were providing us access to stuff. Like, so for example, I went to a conference where I could have observed everything, and I wrote several articles while observing. Like I have the participants there to consult, to hear their challenges, to hear what they want as learning material. So like they were really, really supportive. The German National Agency, like with all of this, it's a very complex program, this key action to innovation part, that like a lot of rules, a lot of regulations that like it's first time for us. You know, and then like you need to maneuver, you need to steer. So like they were of like very big support. Like all of these experts that I was emailing, hey, do you have like anything on this? Sorry, Darko, I don't have. Emailing 20 people, like, do you have anything on this? Like, no, I don't have anything. Okay, here are articles, reading them, like front and back. It's kind of like playing ping pong, you know, like kind of front and back, until you decide that I have enough for 5 pages. You know, like, so this is the process. Like 1 year, what we mentioned before, it's not working full time 1 year on one article, but it's kind of like the contemplation process is important, like including like the diversity of opinions, of how to change my patterns. It took me a while. Like, how do people change their patterns? How do I change this unwanted behavior and I switch to the wanted behavior? What's the process of self-reflection, of contemplation, of selection of choices? Like, how do you behave in this kind of thing? So, and it was not easy to find the references, yeah, but we had to consult people, and then we built like some articles based on the experience of the people, of the community. So, thank you to the whole community, I have to say. Like, without them, like, we wouldn't have been here. So.
I guess that's true. I mean, in Erasmus Plus and the network of national agencies and experts around and the trainers, I also perceive them like a very open, like a community of learners, and that they really honestly and truly want to support the product, because library is a product. I still remember the moment when we did some printouts of the articles. And there was like, the table was covered like fully with the papers, and the pile wasn't okay, it's not ecological, but let's see what's there. But so I'm very grateful it's digital. So for now, we don't print every article, and still shows how lots of content, no? So it has. Yeah,
I have to also add the thank you notes to the expert group who was feedbacking us, because like we went through, we're not writers, we don't write books, we don't write articles, and it took time to discover a style of writing. So for example, some people are very directly on the point, kind of like presenting the facts and leaving the learner to decide for themselves. Someone is taking them through a journey of self-reflection, for example, what Dagmar is doing. I'm storytelling. It took time to get there, you know, like to get this, how do I present like 100, 200 pages of material into simplified way of 5 pages that it triggers the learner to kind of like start reflecting and to start learning. So.
What would be interesting for me as a trainer, as an educator, if I want to access the Trainers Library, do I have to register? Do I have to pay a monthly fee, subscribe? How does that look like?
This is a free source platform. So basically, because it's financed from public money, and we were really trying to make it as accessible as possible, so free of charge. So, but also as simple as possible. User friendliness, that you can get to everything within 3 clicks, you know, like, so it's not this like long searches, but it's a knowledge-based platform. So basically everything turns around the search bar. So you click emotional intelligence and all of the articles that have the words emotional intelligence come. The second thing is that like it's based on the European Trainers Competence model. So basically you click competence area and then you click criteria, and then you click indicator, and then you come to an article that is addressing this particular small part. So it's very easy to navigate. And then we developed different kind of triggers, editor's choice, what comes from us as editors, because we expect the library to grow, like that we have editorial policy in the future, that like we select which articles do we present, some things that are very relevant in society, like Black Lives Matter, intercultural competence, it's very important now, because we transmit these messages as educators, as trainers, as community. So there is like very random article, like with nice photos that trigger kind of like to click and to go and to explore. It's very much connected with different kind of platforms, like for example, the Appraiser, which is a self-assessment tool that is being done by the International Trainers Guild, where you kind of check which competences you have, which competences you need to develop, what is the importance of these competences, and then it lands you on the trainers library, like, so they're very interrelated. It makes sense for having the two platforms together. So when we put it like this, then the learning comes fairly easy. But how do you read 1,500 pages? One more minute. 1,500 pages where you need to contemplate the choices, when you need to speak with your team, when you need to go front and back, when you're unsure, when you disagree with a lot of things. It takes you time. So that's why we created 6 video articles and 6 audio podcasts that will ease up the user friendliness of the library. So basically, we hope to develop 350 audio podcasts that you can download in your phone. You take it with you. So when you go on your bike or when you go to work in the tram or bus, like you listen and then like you reflect on the questions. So basically like it's very tailor-made to the learners. And the same with the videos, because there are different learning styles and people prefer different things.
So it's open source, it's free. Me with a business mindset, there's directly like a red flag, which is like, how do you maintain yourself? Who funded this project? Who's financing all of that?
So it was financed by Erasmus Plus program. I think the Naturkultur have applied and with the partners got the grant. And then how are we gonna to maintain it?
It's a consortium, a partnership of several organizations who applied. The trainers represent each organization in their own country, and then it's a specific program. It's called Key Action 2, which is funding innovation and exchange of know-how. So we applied, we received the grant from Erasmus Plus, and then kind of like we had the opportunity and the privilege, I think, to innovate. Like we were speaking with Dagna a few days ago, and she's like, yeah, we're kind of nearly there. We're kind of like coming to the finish. And I'm like, Dagna, we did everything upside down. Like, so it's kind of like I could have never imagined like this, because we didn't really know what's the way, how to get to the end result. And then she pointed it out like, yeah, but that's innovation. Like, that's how innovation happens. And I'm very grateful to the program having this kind of component that will finance innovation, because this is research and development in real case of trying out, of failing, making mistakes, learning on the way. And then even that we get to this level today, the potential of the library is much bigger for the future. And then the future is not certain financially, because like we as an organization, we kind of like guarantee the sustainability for the next years, but the vision is much bigger because it goes into creating more articles. Dagna was saying like, how many pages? 30,000? 3,000 articles, and I'm like, whoa, like let's calm down first, like 3,000. But I agree completely, like because it has so much bigger potential, or to translate it into 24 languages, like imagine the reach, because now it's on English, and then imagine that each youth worker, social worker, or anyone that would find use for it to be able to read it on Romanian, on Estonian, on Italian, like, because like English maybe is like common language to us, but not to everyone. Imagine all of the audio podcasts that you can take it everywhere with you. Imagine video articles. Imagine community. Like the platform itself, it has like ability. It's not ready this part yet, but an ability to have like community discussions, to have like debates, to open questions, to comment on the articles and things like this. It's a bit more complicated because of the GDPR rules of the privacy and then editing, but there are already organizations that are interested to fund this. Like we checked the pulse, like we kind of like to see if people see value in it, and then like we're waiting for the feedback from the community. So if the community accepts it, like it has a very bright future to not just to add content to the library, but to develop critical thinking. Like imagine like writing articles about Black Lives Matter, like having a platform where people will have this critical debate, because we are social architects in society, you know, like we shape policies, we shape opinions, we work with young people, and then this library will be kind of like a small focal point around that will gather the critical opinions of the community. And then I can create my own learning path. So I bookmark all of the articles that I'm interested in, like at least 50, and then like over a period of time I can do it. I can have mentors who are going to support me in the learning. So there's so many more things to develop. I have a feeling that we touched on 10% of the capacity of the whole thing, and then like many more things are to come.
Talking about the future itself, do you see other opportunities? You've already mentioned videos and podcasts. Is there something that you think you could add in terms of tools that you use? Anything related to that?
I think that what I believe that it's limitless. There are limitless possibilities in that sense. If you would ask me, could you mention several of them? I think I would mention, and then new would come, because it's based on a community growth and development. Now with the new tools, new approaches, and the new researchers, it's like we cannot really foresee, I cannot foresee what will happen 2-3 years and what we will need as a community, and which set of competences will be actual. And because now the circumstances are changing so dynamically, and our field has to adapt very quickly. In that sense, we need to feed the library with different tools, approaches, ways, articles. So it's like, and because it's a community-based library, I would say it will be like very rich at the end in the way that I cannot describe now, right? You've been saying about to print the books, no? That's we are in a library, so that would be one of those kind of traditional ways of sharing the knowledge. But I deeply believe that there are those interactive ways. I can also imagine the trainings on the library. I can imagine the seminars on the different events. I can imagine inviting experts and building the network. I can imagine like a big network of universities and non-formal institutions that would like to create a strategic approach towards the learning and development as a trainer, youth worker, or a leader. I think that there's, as you were saying, we are just at the beginning, and we, it also means us. We is us. And we and us can do much more. And of course, it depends on the resources. And also resources, we don't have all answers. And also when you know, you now listening to us, or anyone can say, I have the idea, then come, join us, and then be us, and then we together create that further on. No? I think I think would be nice.
I was about to say that, like, the more I listen to you, the more ideas do I have, especially when it comes to e-learning, like gamification, chatbots, machine learning, learning management systems. There are like so many possibilities, especially when you host, if you decide to host webinars or different kind of events online. That's impressive. And this is also connecting to my question. If I or a colleague of ours wants to submit something, is there a possibility in the future to submit an idea or an article? How do we approach you?
I think Darko in a second will say how, but I would say there's not only, there's a call, I would say, please submit, please share your wisdom. And of course, as far as you are ready, because the library is also about the readiness. I mean, library is there, the salad is there, but please join the table, make an effort. And sometimes it needs time and really energy to commit yourself. But if you do that, then you will get back much more, I guess.
And it needs finance also. Like from organizational standpoint is kind of like if we imagine the library like as a living organism, then you need air. Yeah. So it's kind of, and then like all of the quality will kind of become very organic, like different kind of areas will develop, different kind of contributors will join. What Dagna was saying, like it's all of new questions. Like I was looking at totally different future. So I was thinking of, we can easily kind of like validate the educational value inside, because like in order to create curriculums, like we need a concrete learning material, and the library can eventually become one of these things. We're doing this train the trainers for 7 years in a row. Now we have 2 trainings in between, and the learners will learn from the Trainers Library. So they have like very easily accessible material, like very relevant, that will not get them lost. And then they will be active in their own society in a practical manner. They have 1 training course, they get mentor, they learn from the Trainers Library, they create their own learning path, they do the practical things in their own societies, working social work, youth work, and all of these kind of projects. They come on the 2nd training course, and then they have like it's kind of like a master's program. Yeah? So it's, and then these are the things that we would be exploring in the future. And then we're welcoming people, because it's a crowdsourced project, like everyone is contributing, like so, and everyone's small contribution, it becomes like big puzzle into the whole picture, and then this is what we're expecting. That's why, although we don't have secured funding, like I'm very confident that we'll get funding. It's so many interested parties. Like I had like one conversation with one of the representatives in the European Commission saying to me, how will you make it mainstream? And I'm like, okay, so if that's the goal, like we'll make it mainstream. So it needs to be accessible for everyone. It needs to be from the community for the community. Like so, this is how we'll make it mainstream. This is how we'll make it wider used. Like we'll translate it, and then we'll make it more accessible, and then kind of like organically it will grow by itself.
And also there will be like announced like a calls for the articles.
Yes.
I think we'll announce it after the launch of the library, how to apply, but definitely minimum 2 a year, I guess that would be the open doors to send the articles and contribute to the library and be part of the community.
I would say first we need like a bit of vacation time, like to calm down and everything, to kind of like to rest, to sleep a little bit, and then like we can kind of like come back. But I think it will be very soon. So very soon, crowdsourced project on the website itself. Like we'll open calls for contributors, and then with ideas of what is missing, because this is kind of like a Swiss cheese effect, like so the Swiss cheese, like it has like a lot of holes, but the main part is there, and then people will in time identify the holes, all of the missing parts, and then we'll kind of fill it, like, and then the whole mass will grow and we'll shape it in different shapes. So basically these calls will be 6 to 12 months on yearly basis. We'll get the editorial part, like who is going to review the articles, and then like proofreading. Like we learned a little bit more about creating these educational materials on the way, that we need editors, that we need proofreaders, that we need graphic designers, and all of these kind of experts. But like I think we're on the right track. So.
That's a call for each one of you. So if you want to be proactive and contribute, somehow financially, or if you have experience in translating, give a shout out. If you have ideas for articles, don't hesitate to send an email to Trainers Library to take the opportunity to contribute to this project.
Trainers Library, the power of learning.
Additionally, we invite each one of you to tell us how you envision the Trainers Library to be in 5 years. We want your innovative ideas. How can we improve our reach? What can we add in terms of content? And I'm going to tell you that it's going to be worth it, because Darko and Dagna have nice rewards for the top 3 ideas that you are going to come up with. Darko, Dagna, what can they expect?
So just in my hands, I have 2 decks of cards where are the illustrated feelings and needs. And it's a super new project that may empower the learning of you as a trainer and the participants of your training. So I have this.
Yeah, I don't have them with me. I would love to have them with me, but 2 books, like one of my favorite books. One is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People from Stephen Covey. And the second one is Resonant Leadership from Boyatzis and McKee. So for me, like very permanent or like lifelong books, like 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I'm reading it 3rd, 4th time, and every time I discover something new. So these will be available for the 3 most inspiring ideas of what can we add as a value to Trainers Library.
We are very excited for your ideas. Don't forget to comment down below under this video so that we can find the best 3 most innovative ideas. At the beginning, you were talking about fruits and vegetables. I personally prefer cake, so I want to cherish, to celebrate the hard work after 3 years with a piece of cake. In Germany, we usually make a wish before they blow the candle, so I invite you to do that, and then let's launch it.
My wish would be there's a big community of reflective learners around the library, that we are more, we are bigger, and we are very close.
And my wish is to be sustainable, to be long-lived, to be there in many years. So.
The cake is yours.
You count?
1, 2, 3!